So that is a way to see it by section for everything in that company in a different organization method if, you got problems with the other ways, which I'll be honest, it's kind of confusing looking at FMS Web sometimes. So circling back, why is all this relevant to you? 1, you can look up your position in a unit. 2, you can look up positions in other units and in your state at different armories. 3, you can see what personnel and equipment you're supposed to have in your platoon. 4, you can identify company level UICs and TOEs for the assignment. 5, you're going to see what personnel and equipment you have in your platoon, which you're going to need to be able to identify what internal resources you have for training for what external resources you're going to have to ask for training. 6, you have to know how to read an MTO to pass the TAC log test. 7, you have to know how to read an MTO to pass Plan X week. 8, you have to know how to read an MTO to pass Fixed Mix week. Long story short, we do a lot of MTO work with personnel and equipment and capabilities, and FMS Web is like the one-stop shop for all that information. There's a lot more you can do on here. Those are just my little tips and tricks as far as getting around it and finding things and information, especially equipment information for your hand receipt or for an assignment. But FMS Web is one of those things where the more you play with it and the more buttons you click, the more you learn. Let me show you one more thing. And I'm showing you this because a lot of the time while you're here, you'll be focusing on either golf or hotel FSC. And the golf and hotel FSC, as we see, share that same paragraph number, 800, because the Army just copied and pasted. Now, in the old days, when they shared the MTO on here, everything was doubled, meaning when you looked at section 800, it looked like there were 2 commanders and two commanders, 2 first sergeants. And then recently they changed it to where it shows as 1. So it's showing the information for 1 company. So I just want to pull this up to make sure I'm giving you the right information. So when you, get hotel FSC for your assignment this weekend, you're pulling the right numbers, not thinking that you have 2 company commanders and 2 first sergeants and 2 platoon sergeants. All right, so here we go. So we'll start with the commander one because that's kind of the easiest to read. So paragraph 800, golf and hotel FSC. Paragraph number 801, which is going to be the company headquarters group. Paragraph line number 01. So 800, 801, 01. It's an 03. It's a logistics officer. That's their MOS. Their title is the company commander. These right here are the additional skill identifiers. So if that position requires an additional skill identifier, they'll be located right there. So if someone's Hotel 8 and they have to be Hotel 8 for the position they're in, it'll be right there. Has their branch. It has some other information you don't really need to know. Required, 1. Authorized, 1. Parent unit authorized, since this is a duplicate number, 2. So it's giving you the information for 1 company, but it's telling you that since this is duplicate, overall they need 2. Okay? So don't get confused on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. One other thing I didn't really talk about that's kind of important for you as platoon leaders and maintenance officers and company XOs is ERC. Does anybody know what this ERC stands for? Not even you, Rodriguez?
Sir, estimated replacement cost?
Close. You'll learn about that later, but it stands for Equipment Readiness Code. So what I did here is I clicked on recaps and then I went to equipment recaps. So anything that is an ERC A, Equipment Readiness Code A, it is an ancillary or auxiliary piece of equipment. That means that it is a mission critical piece of equipment, not a mission essential piece of equipment. And the unit can perform its mission without that piece of equipment. They will just be in a degraded status. Now I'm going to go up here to this search bar and I'm going to type in P and click search. ERC P is for pacing, meaning it is a pacing item, Equipment Readiness Code pacing item. I'm sure some of you have heard of pacing items. If it is categorized as ERC P or a pacing item, that means that it is a mission essential piece of equipment. The unit must have that piece of equipment in order to complete its mission. And it varies by unit. Obviously, in a tank company, the most important piece of equipment that's going to be ERC P is going to be the tanks. So we're in the Brigade Support Battalion. Here are the only ERC Ps in the Brigade Support Battalion. We got wreckers, ambulances, tracked wreckers, and a medical kit for the medics so they can do TC3 or Tactical Combat Casualty Care. So there is every ERC P in that battalion or every mission essential piece of equipment. And that's all that means. There's only ERC P and ERC A. There's nothing else. Those are just the two categories that break the equipment down and identify it as either critical to the mission or essential to the mission. You can click on the BOIP tab if you want. It doesn't really do me. It's never really done me any good because it takes a lot longer. So you can go through the subunit by paragraph number and then the SRC, and then it'll have the BOIP and then the LIN and then the description. But if you notice, the LINs are no longer in alphabetical order. So if you don't know what you're talking about, as far as that goes, it's a little bit more difficult to find. But this is another way to get to the BOIP, which has that equipment identification. If, you're doing inventories and you see something weird on your hander seat, you can't figure it out, and you don't have a regulation because it's one of those weird items, and your supply sergeant is extremely incompetent, can't freaking do their job, and Joe Schmo, who's just trying to not lose their paycheck because they lost the item you're looking for, is showing you something completely different because they know that you're a brand new lieutenant, are going to have no idea what a Radiac set and UDR 13 is. All those factors, this is another way you can go find the BOIP for what your equipment is, and it'll give you the description, images, the narrative. I just prefer to do it the other way around because this way it gives you a bunch of different screens. Whereas then if you go through the personnel and equipment combined, it gives you everything on one screen, so you don't have to dig or hunt for it. So I don't really like this view. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I prefer to just find it in here under the actual equipment that's assigned to whatever unit I'm looking at. That is FMS Web in a nutshell. And that is all of the classes we're supposed to go over for today. What are your questions?
Sir, this is Lieutenant Kwan.
Yep.
Yeah. So can you go over the assignment again? So what exactly we have to do?
I haven't gone over the assignment yet.
Gotcha, sir.
I'm just talking about today's instruction material. The assignment has not been assigned, and I have not gone over that yet. So any questions? And any questions on anything I've gone over?
Sir, this is Lieutenant Cunningham. Could you just show us again how to get to the MTO? Because I know you already showed it once, but kind of once we got into the nitty gritty, I kind of lost track of that. So just one more time on how to get actually to the listing of it all, please.
No. Just kidding. So, good Lord. Sorry, I got like 12 texts from people that are in charge of you. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can get back to the actual FMS Web main page. Back buttons don't really work that well in FMS Web. Sometimes it'll say it timed out. So I Googled FMS Web, clicked on the first thing that happens, clicked on login, and it brought me to this screen where I have to verify my contact information. FMS Web is CAC enabled, so you have to have a CAC to get on. From there, 9 times out of 10, you don't have to request permission to access the website. Sometimes it'll give you an error message. If you get the error message, it'll have an email in it. You just email that email saying, "Hi, I'm a lieutenant in Bolick. I need access to FMS Web." And they'll email you back and ask for your supervisor. And then you'll give them my email address or one of our email addresses, and we'll email them back and say, yeah, they're a Bolick student. They need access. But that's only like 1% of the time now. So I verify my info, and we log in. Whoa, man.
Should I bring my sheets in? Yeah, I want to. Okay.
All right. Oh, well, that's going on. Just going to try Google Chrome.
I can't wait until we get your Mark and Kingdom. Kingdom! No! Dina? Jack. Be quiet. Go to your room and play. I'm going to fucking kill them.
All right. Well, of course, as soon as Google Chrome works a lot quicker, Internet Explorer actually brought it up. So this is what your main page looks like. None of this really applies to you. The only thing I would say that really applies to you is right here. You got FMS Web frequently asked questions and FMS Web help. Those are two ways you can ask for help. And then if you go up here to the top right corner, it has the guide, which is the online user's guide. So if you're trying to figure out a way to find something or do something, it'll be in that guide. Other than that, the only way you're going to need to look at MTOs is you're going to go right to this button. Second one, left side. It says Authorization Document Review. View the details of the documents. And this is for TDA, JTA, and MTO. JTAs are joint task forces and joint units. Doesn't apply to you. TDAs are for made-up units. So like schoolhouses or training units. The only time that's applied is like I had some students that were going to Fort Benning and were in 30th AG to go be a reception officer. That's a made-up unit, so they wanted to look up their MTO for TDA. Real units, like what 99%, maybe 100% of you are all in or going to, are going to be MTO. So we're going to click on that button. That's going to bring us to our next screen. We only have a few options up top. MTO documents, TDA documents, JTA documents, DMO documents, and random other buttons. The only one that applies to you, MTO documents. So we're going to click on that. From there, it brings up the second bar. So you can search by command. You can search by the SRC as well. You can search by the document number. You can search by UIC, which is going to be the easiest and fastest way. So if you know the UIC, that's the easiest and fastest way. And you can click UIC. It'll bring up this screen for you. The UICs always start with a W, so it puts that W in there for you. So don't type it in or it won't bring anything up because the UIC will be wrong. And you can type in the UIC here and it'll take you directly to the unit as long as you know what you're going for. And it'll look like this because there's multiple MTOs. And each one, the reason there's multiple is because they're for different times in the year. So the oldest one has an effective date of March 16th, 2020, and is only for fiscal year 20. Well, we're not going to use that. This one is June 16th, 2021 for its effective date in FY21. We're not there either. So kind of in between, I guess, but it should actually be effective really that fiscal year and fully fielded by June. And that's going to be small things that they changed, like personnel or equipment based on force management data. So those of you that are going to be maintenance control officers, you actually have a lot to do with MTOs based on the input that your PLL clerks put into G Army saying how many man hours per MOS by mechanic were done that week, how many miles were driven by what vehicles, or how many hours were used by what generators when you're closing out dispatches and using that equipment. That all gets rolled up and sent to Big Army on a monthly basis. And every year they have a computer program that does the analysis and says, this unit doesn't need this many mechanics, or they don't need this many generators, or they don't need this many JLTVs. And then a panel of warrant officers looks at the proposed MTOs that the computer has done, and they'll go in and add personal touches based off their professional experience. And that all feeds into those MTO changes. For schoolhouse purposes, we're just going to tell you to use the most recent MTO or the newest. In this case, it's going to be FY 2020, so we're going in the future. I click on that hyperlink, and it brings me back to the MTO main page. So that's the easiest and fastest way, knowing the UIC. If you don't know the UIC, you can search by name. But remember, you have to get at least 3 characters correct in the name. So what unit is that? 3rd Support Brigade. So I'll type in 3RD Support. and see what comes up. Nothing. I'm going to click the back button and hope it works. Nope. Okay. So once again, let's try name again. This time we'll try 3DS and see what happens. Bam. I get every third S company and battalion, in the whole army because it identifies those 3 characters correctly. So unit name is kind of twitchy or chaotic. I don't like searching by it because, you get this, which is kind of aggravating. But if you don't know the UIC, it's a way to narrow down your search. SRC, well, if you know the SRC, you know the UIC, so it's kind of redundant. Location is another method. Like if you're a National Guard unit, that's kind of the most useful. You can go by state or by geographic location. So you can click state. You can type in the state code, try Virginia, hit search. It'll give me every unit in the state, the location of where they're at. Virginia was not a good one to use because there's so many. Here we go. It was 276 Engineer Battalion, National Guard unit, and they drill at the Richmond Armory on Dove Street. So this is a good one for you guys as far as trying to figure out, if you want to join a unit specifically, if they have positions for you and where they drill. Like this weird engineer detachment that drills at a state military reservation, Camp Pendleton in Virginia Beach. So that's a good one for state or location. If I just don't know anything at all, I'm going by organization. I also kind of like the way organization breaks it down for me because it's more pleasing to the eye. So I click organization and I click block hierarchy. And then from there, I have to identify what type of organization it is. So I can click Armor Brigade Combat Team, and it's going to give me every Armor Brigade in the Army, National Guard and Reserves. And from there, I have the UIC, and then I have kind of the unit name. So 1st Brigade, 1st Armor Division, or that used to be in Georgia. I think when they realigned all the National Guard units, they put them everywhere, or 155 Brigade Combat Team. And then I can click on that, and it will open it up for me in the block hierarchy tool that I love so much. And this gives me a nice breakdown of every unit in the brigade. And then I can click on a battalion and it'll give me every company in that battalion. I can minimize that. And if I'm trying to look at a specific battalion, I could click on one of those hyperlinks in that unit hierarchy and it would take me to that battalion's MTO. Since this is a National Guard one, it's got a lot of subunits in it. Wow, a whole lot. Whew, that's crazy. All right, so those are the different ones. That's the different ways to find MTOs. What other questions or comments or concerns or, things can I show you? Nothing? All right. Jarzen, are you on? Captain type? No. All right. So go ahead and take like a 10-minute break, guys, while I get the assignment pulled up and I can start going over it. All right. So we'll meet back roughly at like 15:30 so I can get the stuff pulled up and start going over the assignment with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So,
Loud and clear.
Captain Jarzen, are you on? Nope. Still no. All right. So, I'm not going to lie to you. This assignment was supposed to be updated, and it's not. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it live. Apologize for the inconvenience, but training developers didn't do their jobs and probably blamed it on COVID. So that's always nice. So what is happening right now is Captain Stuhlmiller has you broken into groups. It is right here on your Google Classroom as far as what groups you're in. So it's got you identified. So like smalls, you guys can see this, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry, my phone's in low power mode, so it's about to die. So I can't really watch what I'm saying on my phone. So your rosters have been updated for your groups into your Google Classrooms. So like smalls, you're been identified as National Guard, so it's going to be a National Guard project, and you've got Golf FSC Group 1. Now the part where we're doing it live is they haven't updated the units for this assignment, so I will be giving you the units right now, which means you have to pay attention and like actually write it down. Okay. So I'm going to pull your units straight out of FMS Web. We're going to go with the ordnance class first. Ordnance class has groups Golf 1, 2, 3, and 4, meaning you're going to be in a Golf FSC, and then Juliet and Hotel. All right, so making sure I got that right, which I do. So I'm going to get into FMS Web and get your units. All right, so for the ordnance class, You guys are going to be Golf FSC. For National Guard groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 4 of you are going to be Golf FSC of the 145th Support Battalion, which UIC is going to be Whiskey Tango Quebec 2 Alpha Alpha for the battalion. And then for your actual FSC, your company, if you listened to what I said, and the National Guard unit follows all rhyme and reason, it's your company UIC should be Whiskey Tango Quebec 2 Golf 0. All right. So here's where it's gonna get funny. So you're all the same FSC, Golf FSC of this unit. And if it loads, this is where it's going to be a little different. So ordnance class, group G1, you're going to be the maintenance platoon of Golf FSC. Ordnance class, group G2, you're going to be the distro platoon of Golf FSC. Ordnance group 3 of Golf FSC, you're going to be the maintenance platoon. And ordnance group 4 or G4, you're going to be the distro platoon. Makes sense. You guys got that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Right.
So,
Pardon me, sir.
yeah.
Did you mean that for TC? Because OD, we only have groups 1 and 2, as well as Hotel and Juliet.
Oh, I got them backwards then. Then it's going to be the same theory. So, yes, for OD, since you guys only have 2 in Golf 1 and 2, group 1 is going to be maintenance, and group 2 is going to be distro.
Right, sir.
So basically, all the National Guard groups are going to be Golf FSC of this unit. The odd number groups are going to be the maintenance platoon, and the even number groups are going to be the distro platoon. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because technically group 1 and 2 are going to be working together, same as group 3 and 4 if you have a 3 and 4. Because you're all in the same company, right? Right. Maintenance platoon, maintenance platoon and distro platoon are all in Golf FSC. There's not a lot of times where just one platoon goes out and trains. The whole company goes out, and then the platoons train on their own things, and sometimes they train together. So you guys are going to kind of have to synchronize a little bit with your training plans. All right. So you'll have to work together a little bit, not a lot. Now for the brief, you guys aren't going to be briefing us on Monday. We're going to give you more time. So you get a CAC, you get a computer lab, and the briefs aren't hot garbage because you're throwing it together in 3 days. So during your combatives week on your academic schedule, that is when you will be briefing us. So you've got a little bit more time to work on it. And when you brief, you're going to be in the classroom. You know, Golf Group 1 is going to be on the left side and Golf Group 2 is going to be on the right side. You're both going to have your presentations pulled up, and we're going to treat it like a real company training meeting where maintenance platoon is briefing me on what they're doing and distro platoon is briefing me on what they're doing. So that's how it's going to work for you guys. So those are your units. Everybody got the UICs so they know how to look them up in FMS Web?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let me.
Sir, this is Lieutenant Whalen. There's two people with their hands raised.
All right. Good. Well, when I say, all right, anybody have any questions pertaining
Sir.
to that specifically?
Sir, LT Fredericks, just a quick question. Is the changing in the briefing date, does that apply to everyone or is it just those two groups?
It's going to be everybody. So whenever you guys have a brief as a class, we will typically do the whole class. So it's more than likely going to be Monday and Tuesday of combatives week. Group 1 will brief for 45 minutes to an hour. Well, I guess group 1 and 2 will brief for 45 minutes to an hour, and then group 3 and 4 will brief for 45 minutes to an hour. And then Juliet group for that class will brief for 45 minutes to an hour, and hotel FSC for that group or that class will brief for 45 minutes to an hour. So we're looking at a solid 4 hours of briefing, which means we could do the OD class in a day and probably the TC class in a day and a half. But you guys have combatives weeks on different weeks, so it's not really going to be a strain on us. Okay, so active duty personnel. If you got hotel group, ordnance or TC, regardless, your unit is going to be Whiskey Juliet Alpha Tango Hotel 0. So that's hotel FSC. And you're going to be, if you're in the ordnance class, you're going to be the maintenance platoon leader. If you're in the transportation class, you're going to be the distro platoon leader. You guys will not be briefing side by side. You will just be briefing your one platoon. And you don't need to worry about whatever your sister platoon is doing. Now, the reason I did that, because if a transportation lieutenant goes to an FSC, they will more than likely be the distribution platoon leader, because the distribution platoon has the transportation sections and will be running those convoy missions, okay? And then the maintenance platoon, obviously, you're an ordnance class. The maintenance one is the one that's most relevant to you. So that's why it's split up that way. So for Juliet FSC or Juliet groups, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to be in that same battalion. So you're going to be Whiskey Juliet Alpha Tango Juliet 0. And then for the transportation class group, you're going to be the distro platoon. And for the ordnance group, you're going to be the maintenance platoon. Okay? Does that make sense? Everybody knows their units of assignment. They have the UICs. So they know what platoons to look up for personnel, equipment, medals, all of it.
Sir, sorry, this is Second Lieutenant Landstrom. Just because I was tracking it was for ordnance, but now it's for transportation as well. Can you go over the transportation Gulf Group 4 UIC one more time, sir?
Yeah. So that's going to be Whiskey Tango Quebec 2 Golf 0. And that's going to be your company level UIC. You can all see my FMS web screen, right?
Tracking, sir.
All right. I just want to make sure this still works. So an FMS web, typically if you search, all right, it still works. So if you type in the company UIC in the UIC search tool, it's still going to take you to that battalion UIC because the smallest level that it does is battalion. So then you can still go through here. And then, as you all know, is hopefully I beat into the dirt, anything you're using for ATN as far as metal, cats, platoon TENOs, that stuff, you have to search at the company level UIC so you're getting the company level things. Now that you have your units of assignment and your groups, you kind of know what people you're working with, what units you've been assigned, and you know the units, or I'm sorry, when the briefing is going to be. It's going to be the first 2 days of your combatives week. Now,
Sir, sorry, LT Fredericks, would it be possible for you to post a document on the Google Classroom just so we are, like, with the information that you just briefed with the numbers and everything, just so we're all 100% on the same page?
you guys have academics officers, right?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Congratulations. All right. Well, you're supposed to have an academics officer, and that's the academic officer's job. So, TC, I suggest you guys get an academics officer. All right, so let's start off with the in brief. We'll get this slide deck uploaded for you, but here's your in brief. So your unit commanders published a unit training plan for the current training cycle you're in. During a weekly training meeting, your commander wishes to conduct a commander's dialogue with the subordinate leaders to discuss your platoon training tasks and concept of execution for your upcoming platoon FTX. The dialogue will serve as, pretty sure whoever wrote this spelled dialogue wrong. The dialogue will serve as an opportunity for your commander to assess your understanding of their intent and to give guidance on the selected battle tasks and training concepts you have developed. A frag org to the original UTP initiated this conversation to refine the commander's guidance for the upcoming training cycle. Before this brief, your commander expects that you have already completed your mission analysis and published your platoon war note. So here's what your assignment is. Your group is gonna demonstrate your conceptual understanding on how to manage training at the platoon level by generating a platoon war note to the company commander's revised UTP. So that's a specified task. You have to write a war note. You should be comfortable explaining your analysis of the mission and tasks you selected to train and how you plan to train those tasks and your evaluation plan. So, key tasks. Communicate the training strategy applied towards your platoon FTX. Well, obviously, you're going to come up with some platoon training strategy in a crawl, walk, run methodology. Select individual and collective tasks from the unit task list that objectively support the commander's training objectives and proficiency levels. That means that you have to pick the proper tasks. Demonstrate your understanding of the planning platoon training using the T-week concept in FM 7.0. That means you're going to be briefing the T-week model like we discussed today, and this is all basically a training meeting. Apply the deliberate management risk process, or whatever, deliberate risk management process. So that means that you have to do a draw, right? You got a class on that, so you're good. So deliverables, these are things that you must turn in. A third quarter platoon unit training plan. So basically the last 3 months of the year, or no, the third quarter, those 3 months, you have to submit a training plan using the crawl walk training methodology or crawl walk run methodology for those 3 months. Platoon training brief. That is going to be your brief, how you communicate, how you're going to train with what guidance your commander has given you. You have to print off and give the CATS exum for your assigned unit. You have to pull off the CATS report for your assigned unit. You have to print off the TADS report for the correct training event type. So that means that you have to get in TADS, get the TADS report, and then print off the report for the FTX and the STX for the task that you're doing. You're going to have to print off the training event matrix from CATS, and you're going to have to do a draw on your FTX. So you're
Sir, we lost you. We don't hear you if you're saying anything.
I think his phone died.
all right. That was weird. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
All right. I just dropped off the call for some reason. All right. And then eventually you're going to have to do a draw or a deliberate risk assessment worksheet on your FTX. So these deliverables, you're going to have to write a Warno. The Warno is going to be your initial training plan for how the platoon's going to train to prepare for the platoon STX. And the plan must follow the 5-paragraph upward format, cover content at the platoon level, and be nested with the higher headquarters training strategy. The platoon training brief is going to be your PowerPoint presentation, and it's going to be the tentative plan for how you're going to build up and execute your STX. The training brief is going to have a con op on it, and basically show us your thought process for how you're going to do your platoon STX, and using the T-week model concept for the brief. It'll make more sense when I get into the slide. CATS reports. So you have to pull all the CATS reports by the TOE, and for those specific ones, I think the only one is the TADS report. You have to pull that TADS report for the STX and the FTX, not the entire TADS report. And then the con-op, basically showing how you're going to do it. I'll explain more when we get to it. And then the TEO outlines. So the tasks that you're going to be training on, you have to print the TEO sheets, and then do a deliberate risk assessment for the STX, or a draw, a worksheet. So here's the format we're giving you. So there's your intro slide. Obviously, it says that you're doing third quarter, so you should probably change it to third quarter. It's FY21 now, so you should probably change it to FY21. Put your unit in, put your class name, and your group members. Here's that T-week model. This is going to be the calendar overview for December, and you're going to brief your training events for every Thursday. I recommend you do a sergeant's time training every Thursday, and then the last Thursday of the month, you do a low density MOS training event. So we got December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. All right. So this is why it's showing you the whole year. So for active duty, you only do a quarter. So you're only doing 3 months. For National Guard and Reserves, you're doing the full year. And it's going to be the one drill weekend a month with your AT as your culminating event. There's an in brief for active duty and National Guard, but they're the exact same except these calendars. All right, so once we get past the calendars, then we give you a CONOP format. So for those of you that have never done a CONOP is basically a one slide, quick read. It has all the information in it I need to execute the mission. So it's a very detailed one PowerPoint slide that shows how you're going to execute the mission. You hand that to a squad leader and the squad leader can do it. Simple as that. It is not a replacement for an op order. It's basically just a one slider so you can do it. So you're going to do a CONOP or a concept of the operation on your STX, your situational lane training exercise, and input all the information in here you need. So it should have grid coordinate, training concept, in state, number of leaders in your platoon, number of soldiers in your platoon,
We about to freak this.
type of STX.
No, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not
Mute your
easy.
microphone.
And mute yourself, butts.
All right, so your individual tasks that you're going to be training on at the STX, your collective tasks, your train performance measures and leader performance measures, those are going to come from your TEOs. The operational environment variables you're going to use, internal resources you're going to need. So those are identified in those CATS sheets that we talked about earlier, but I'm going to expect you to use some freaking brain power and realize that those are pretty basic vanilla plain. So you're going to need to identify more internal resources. One thing I don't like about this CONOP is it also doesn't have external resources. So you should add external resources to this slide that you're going to need for the training. In the center is where you're supposed to put your graphic, your military graphic representation to show the locations of where you're training, the lanes of where you're training, and how your training is going to go. The middle section right here, the battle task, that's going to be your task number, task description. Current is what your current training rating in. That's going to be a TP or U. Projected, what you project that you're training, what you're going to be at by the time this training is complete. And be realistic. Don't be realistic. And then total training days that this is going to be. And then the lane iteration breakdown. If you're running multiple lanes, you're going to have your lane numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. The different battle tasks that you're training on in lanes 1, 2, 3, 4. The TADs that you might need, the OP4 that you need, and any notes. So it's basically just all of that thrown on a PowerPoint showing how you're going to do the training. Next slide. Exact same thing, except you've gone from the squad level to the platoon level. So exact same CONOP for a platoon level STX. And then, of course, this nice little catch-all, you're going to have to do the draw and print it off and submit the draw with all your other deliverables. So this is the actual PowerPoint template that you need to use. Now, this is the active duty brief. It is literally the exact same word for word. Everything is the same. The only difference is instead of briefing a year worth of drill weekends and an AT, you are briefing 3 months, a quarter, and then your squad level LTX and your platoon level STX with the draw. So there's no difference in the presentations or the products, just active duty, you're going to have a training event every Thursday. Whereas in National Guard, you're going to have a training event as your drill weekend. Let's look at this intelligence requirement. So this Annex B, if you ever look at an Annex B to an op order, is the intelligence section. So this is the area that your unit is training for, like your deployment. So this is essentially the PMISI PT for the area. This is so you have a framed operational environment to tailor your training to train as you fight. All right, so we provided you with the PMISI PT of Atropia in the Great War on Atropia, protecting those poor Atropian people. So this is all the intelligence for that area so you can frame the operational environment and apply it to your training. Now we're going to look at the rubric. The rubric is very detailed. Treat this rubric like a check the block. All right. If you don't do it on the rubric, then you don't get points for it. So this is what you must do at a minimum 4 grades based on those deliverables. So orientation, team introductions and product orientation. That means that you have to introduce yourselves. You should hand me a binder that is organized with all the CATS reports, your op order, a hard copy printout of your PowerPoint presentation, a hard copy printout of your deliberate risk assessment worksheet. Everything that you're supposed to turn in should be in a binder, organized, and you should orient me to that. Then you'll have your PowerPoint up on the screen, and you'll introduce yourselves as a group. Good morning, sir, ma'am. My name is Second Lieutenant so-and-so. We are Group 3. This is a unclassified briefing. I'll introduce you to my teammates, second lieutenants, blah, blah, blah. All right, then submits all deliverables. So you turn in everything you're supposed to turn in. Next, AOAI. So you use Annex B and you identify the correct operational variables and geographic region you're going to be training towards. So you set your area of operation and your area of interest. Then you include the higher command's mission statement, intent, key tasks, and end state. I'll go over that in a minute. It's provided. You're going to generate a platoon mission statement that is nested with your higher headquarters. Everybody screws this up. A platoon mission statement should be pulled from the company mission statement, but it should also be altered to where it answers the 5 W's for whatever your training event or mission is. 5 W's is in who, what, where, when, why/how, but not in too much detail because that's the actual execution paragraph. And then whatever details you need. Mission statements should always have grid coordinates and timestamps as well. So figure it out. All right, generates a concept statement utilizing crawl, walk, run and the T-week concept. Uses the calendar we provide you to communicate your FTX train up. That's just the calendar I gave you where you'll show what events you're training on, what weeks using the T-week methodology. Next. Incorporates events that reflect how the 8-step training model is incorporated to your train up. So you have to use the 8-step training model and show it with your T-week concept. You correctly use standalone, integrated, or mission supported lane training. That's going to be identified in the TEOs. Your Warno tasks down to the squad level for who is responsible for planning, resourcing, and executing, evaluating squad level training events. So in your Warno, you're right, you have to make sure that you task the subordinate units like we talked about earlier today. One thing, it also says who the evaluator is going to be. Hang on a second. My boss is calling me. Okay. Captain Soulmiller, Captain Jarzen, are you there?
We are.
You guys are gonna have to take over. I have been given something else to do that is an immediate priority. Okay.
Roger that.
So I'll drop the rubric so you can finish going over the rubric, and then shit. Why don't we just call it a day, drop everything in there, and pick back up on Monday?
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Mulligan.
Thank you. Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey guys, I know it's 1600 on a Friday. So and honestly, Captain Lasky is probably one of the better instructors. He probably one of the best instructors to teach this class. So if you guys have any concerns or questions, just please again go over the recording. But so right now, I'm actually holding a kind of a offline office hours to go over the training management concepts. And class leaders, if you guys want to coordinate with each other, if anyone is interested to go over that. But right now, I don't have anything else. Oh, I do, admin stuff. Hey, so couple of things. When you, so when it comes to S1, and you're going to see a lot of emails and a lot of email traffic about, hey, can I have a back or a full copy of your orders? We need it. It's because there's so many different agencies, because it's the military, we don't have that cross communication or those good systems and processes to share that information. So just be patient. And for example, Miss Woodard, she is going to be reaching out to you specifically and to the S1s for copy of orders, so she can start actually doing the out processing. Even though you guys in process this past week, we're gonna start out processing you guys and try to actually get you guys orders, because that takes quite some time. In addition to, you will be receiving an email from Ms. Wyndham, TRICARE. So please have your orders ready and send it to her directly, because then so she can enroll you into TRICARE if either you're National Guard, Reserve, or active duty. Knock on wood, if something, hopefully nothing happens, but and if you do need an ER visit, please let us know, like your class leader and myself and Captain Schumiller. So, hey, that you need an ER visit, that you won't get charged for it because you guys have been enrolled because you have given your orders to Ms. Wyndham, okay? So just that's a couple of admin stuff that we want to go over. But again, good job everyone for being flexible for the past week. We really appreciate it. Nothing is perfect, but hey, we're in the Army, right? So we will stand fast. And other than that, you guys can drop off. You guys have a great weekend. Oh, Captain Schindler, do you have anything for them? Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, ma'am, I got a quick question.
Who's this?
This is Lieutenant Oduro.
Hi, Lieutenant Oduro.
Hey, ma'am, the training management rubrics was not posted on the Google Classroom, as well as the Commander in Brief PowerPoint template. If you'd be able to drop that over there, that'd be appreciated.
Oh, good catch. Thank you. We will do that once we get off this call. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, man.
Hey, Captain Schumiller, do you have anything for them before we drop off?
Ma'am, I have a question. This is LT Fredericks.
Go ahead.
What is plan? What's the next hit time? What does the weekend look like? We don't really have any guidance on when the next time we're supposed to meet, and besides obviously meals.
It's just the meals. So for Monday,
I gotta get with the other tags to see what is a good timeline for you guys, because the buses is still an issue, so we kind of want to get that squared away for next week. Okay, so just be prepared for no changes to Saturday, Sunday. That's your weekend. Okay, so now you guys are separated into your groups, so I highly recommend you guys start talking to each other, okay, about how you guys want to tackle this group project. But no change, like I said, to the meals for Saturday, Sunday, but we will definitely shoot out a text message to the class leaders, and they will disseminate amongst you guys to let you know what is the actual hit time on Monday. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, Second Lieutenant Russell here. I was wondering, so where and when is this TAC office hours taking place?
Oh, it's over Zoom.
It's over Zoom? Okay. Is the link provided inside of the Google Classroom yet, or?
Oh, no, I sent it to class leader.
Class leader? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yep. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. And if you guys are interested in the to go over more stuff, I will see you on my Zoom. And class leader, if you can give that to Muncie if any of the TC wants to join in on us. Okay. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hey, Muncie, if you're still on, I just sent this to you, the Zoom meeting. Bye.
Got it. Thanks.
Hey, Muncie.
Yes.
This is Waylon. Do you just want everyone on TC to go over onto that Zoom meeting just so we're in the loop?
Yes, I would suggest that if you're still on here.
Okay. Is the Zoom meeting in Google Classroom, or do you just have it?
I just have it, but I'm gonna put it up there in just a second.
Okay.